Future prop firm payout ROIs are absolutely bonkers nuts, scam-like, and I want to show you through basically a situation where I'm sure some people will make fun of me as they see my results. But with that said, full transparency up front. If you make fun of me, if you say you're a terrible trader, if you say, wow, that's embarrassing, just know that you're going to help prove my point about just how amazing and powerful the prop firm trading model actually is. So I don't want to talk here in theory. I want to show you my results. But again, these results, some will make fun of me, but that's a good thing because that just illustrates how great the prop firm model and the return on investment ROI actually is. So let's set up a little context here, and I'm going to build off actually a previous video I did because I want to sprinkle in more context just so you can show how great prop firms are and why I firmly believe that you should consider implementing them as a day trading strategy. But the prop firm that I use and that I am, that all this is coming from is right here. And I want to set up kind of a little hypothetical to say, well, let's say this were you. So let's say this were you, and the way that it works, I'm not going to go too far down the rabbit hole, but with prop firms, you select an account that gives you a certain amount of purchasing power. So let's just say you want to go with the 50,000 account because that's actually the results you're going to be seeing from here. And that costs $102. But the thing is, you first do have to pass a test to get your pro account and all that. So just for hypothetical sake, let's say that you get an account and it takes you 5 times. So it takes you 5 tries before you actually pass and get to the pro account. So it's 102. Now, if you fail, you can always get another account. But because we're saying it takes you 5 times, and if each time costs you 102, then right there, you would have $510 invested, right? That is your risk. That is what you have involved into this strategy. $510. Okay, so with that being said, we'll work from there and use that number a little bit later on. But as far as our investment is concerned, 510. So that is what our return on investment will be calculated based off of, because that's what we've had, like in 5 accounts, 5 tries, and each one of those being 102. So 510. Now let's start to look at some of my results. So this is from the video that I did previously. And you can see that on this particular day, and I should note that I'm not even showing you all the results from this account. So that's the one thing to also keep in mind. It's kind of just a backdrop. I'm not showing you everything, but I don't need to, just to illustrate how crazy and nuts these ROIs can be. But from the video last week, as of recording of this video, I had available for withdrawal, that's always the important number within the prop firm world, 1020. And one critique of prop firms, which seems to make sense up front, but doesn't, and that's what I was trying to illustrate in this video, is, well, you don't get to keep all your gains. There is that payout split where the prop firm keeps a portion. And the prop firm that I'm using, and within this example here, they take 20%. So you only get to keep 80%. To some people, they hear that, they're like, that I would never do that. Again, stick with me. Let's look at the math, and you'll see how, the math still suggests that the amount that you give up, that 20%, it's okay. You'll be okay, and we'll let the math do the speaking for us. So right here, we have 1020. So let's just kind of add up some things here. So 510, we already have that memorized. In fact, let's hop over here to the return on investment calculator, because that is our investment, $510. So we'll just get that locked in right now. But let's hop back over to the calculator and then the gains. So we have 1020. So that was the amount right here. So we'll start right there. And then we have to take a look at a couple other days that I've had and payouts from this account. So we'll go here, and you can see that this was another day where I got, eligible for, move that over here. So available for withdrawal. And this is all coming from the same account. Try to, kind of just illustrate that up there. But so we got to add in, let's just call it 596. So plus 596. So we're at 600 or 1616. And then we've got to go and look at this day. You can see right here, available for withdrawal 510. So let's add in plus 510. Okay. And then we've got to do one more. Again, I've had more than this, but like I said, I'm not going to go through everyone just because I'm trying to illustrate that I don't even need to take all of my payouts to illustrate the point here. Again, I understand. What kind of payouts are these? Are you sure you want to be showing this publicly? I saw so-and-so make way, way, way more than this. And for that person, fantastic. That's awesome. But that's the point. Very quote-unquote pitiful results on my part are still going to produce, spoiler alert, some really good ROI numbers. So then we have here the $600. So plus $600. So there we go. In prop firm lingo, and just the days I've shown here from this account, I've had $2,726 in payouts. But once again, this is what would make it seem like maybe not worth it. Well, I don't get to keep all this. I only get to keep 80%. So I have to multiply this times 0.8. So that means I got to keep $2,180. So, all right, I've given up 20%. That means sent to my account payouts is at $2,180. So let's now look at, well, the return on investment. So let's hop back over here to our calculator. Like I said, the number here that I had was $2,180. So let's see what this ROI actually is. Again, this is assuming that I failed 5 times up front. So if this were you failed 5 times, you had to do the test, 5 times, each one of those times, $102. And each one of those, because of that, you had the total in 510. And then as you saw from the payouts, and then after taking the 20% cut, still got me $2,181. So investment of 510 right now, that's higher than this, but just for example's sake and story's sake in this video, 2,180. And let's see what that calculation is. And check it out, scam-like numbers. And this has all happened in basically a week. Right now, my ROI is 328%, higher than that. But because I still have this current account, it can still keep growing higher and higher. Because, well, the higher that number goes, the better the ROI becomes. So again, if you want to just laugh at these results that you've seen up until this point, feel free to laugh at a 327% ROI. That's pretty crazy. Now, you can really get up into the thousands of percents. But let's just look at this from any sort of investment metric at all. Most people would look at that and say, this guy's scamming. Like, what do you mean? A 320% return on investment. Yeah, exactly. And that's with giving up 20% of my gains. But that is the power of futures prop firm trading. And the reason why it is so powerful, and I know I talked about this previously in other videos, but it's worth repeating, is because of this dynamic right here. When you keep that number low, then it's easy to, and I say easy, just from a mathematical formula standpoint, it's very easy to drive up that ROI because, in other words, your risk was so low to begin with. And that's the true power in prop firms. Your risk is very isolated because, as you saw, the cost of an account, $102. And then if you need to, go at, in my story here, 5 times, that's still, quote unquote, only $510. But you go on a streak, and, you start to pull in the gains, and even with the payouts, you're still getting the crazy, crazy ROIs because within the mathematical formula itself, when the risk is so low, it's, that ROI can really start to explode very, very quickly. So yes, my results, which some may laugh at me for, and some may say are pitiful, I wear that because it proves my point. Think about it. Pitiful results yielded 328% ROI. If that doesn't show you the power of prop firms, I'm not quite sure what actually would. So if you've been kind of on the fence about prop firms, I don't know, should I try them? Is it worth it? I'm not quite sure. I like the mentality, which I understand of, well, why would I give up any of my gains? I want to keep 100% of my money. Well, by keeping 100% of your money, are you yielding 328%? You're not. How do I know you're not? Because this number here for you is going to be way, way higher because you're risking more. How are you risking more? Because you have way more of your funds on the line. If you have to go and, put $10,000 of your money on the line and then you make $1,000, well, that's a 10% return on investment because you had 10,000 on the line. But when you keep the money, quote unquote, on the line at risk so low, that's what's going to allow you to build that ROI, which I mentioned before. So if you are, I'll just, and I'm not even asking you to trust me. Go find a ROI calculator and go plug these numbers, play with it, look at it on your own. If you're putting thousands upon thousands of your dollars on the line, sure, you get to keep 100%, but the ROI is still not going to be anywhere close to what you're doing when you can keep your risk so very, very minimal. So if there are any questions or anything like that, let me know. As far as the prop firm that I'm using and that this all came from, I'll put that down in the link below also, and you can go and check them out. I'm not saying they're the be-all, end-all if you feel comfortable with another prop firm, but if you are brand new to the prop firm space, I would definitely say to go with the prop firm that I'm using because they are very beginner-friendly. They have a clean set of rules. They have the best payment policy, at least at the time of this video in the industry. So I would say certainly highly consider using them, especially if you're a beginner. But if you've never used them, then I would definitely say to at least give them a try, because yes, their payment policy is great. As you saw there, those payments were coming on a daily basis, and with the firm, you can request those payments on a daily basis. So they have daily payouts, which separates them from a lot of other prop firms out there. But I hope this helps. I hope it's kind of opened your eyes that, yeah, with futures prop firm trading, you can get nuts, absolutely crazy ROIs. And even if the results, like in my situation, may cause other traders to make fun of me or laugh at me or say that I'm a terrible trader, think about it. Even I love it. I'll just accept it. I am a terrible trader. So with the prop firm, a terrible trader was still able to yield and generate 328% ROI and growing, right? Because the account is still open, and so think about it. But we'll just call it 328. So again, a terrible trader was just able to yield 328% ROI. If that's not gonna convince you to at least highly consider doing futures through a prop firm, I'm not quite sure what will. But like I said, let me know if you have any other questions like that. I'll put the link to the prop firm that I'm using that I'd recommend down below also. So appreciate your time. Thanks for watching. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. And finally, I have been live streaming. So if you want to come see this all in motion, see the prop firm in action, see trading in action, then I'm live streaming Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And usually I go for a few hours. So definitely come check it out. So thanks for watching. Take care. And like I said, let me know if you have any questions.